gospel music, and also I'm into the hospitality industry.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will wish to welcome all of us to this today's meeting. I welcome you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. And we are all here to learn. We are all teachers and we are all learners here. So today we are going to talk about love and compassionate love. It's all about love. We're going to discuss about love. And my big sister here, Sister Sheilah, will lead us today. I am her co-driver, and every other person in the same vehicle we contribute, because the journey is not for the driver and the co-driver, but it's for all the people inside the vehicle. Sister Sheila, step up.
Hi guys, are you guys well?
You
I can't hear you. Can you guys hear me?
can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yeah, Sheila, we
Hey
can hear you
KK.
loud and clear. We can hear you
All
loud and
right,
clear.
Bishop. All right. Hey KK, how are you? Are you okay? So today, nice to have you here. How's the weather? It's raining. I, I I tell you, we need a lot of rain on this end. Anyway, it's nice to be here. It's nice to have you here. And even as we take a moment to begin this journey, I'd just like you to sit back. I'd like you to relax. I like what Brother Salim has said. This is just a journey into an awareness and an awakening in ourselves into a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of self-discovery, self-inventory, just a self-awareness, because then the more we delve in, and I like what Timothy you have said, this is a journey of drawing in. Now, you and I have come, or we have all come from a background where our search for truth has been external. Our search for truth has been compelled with a drawing out, seeking for that which is divine on the outside, on that which is not within. But we have now come to the understanding that the journey into life, into divinity, into having a conscious awareness is actually the journey that takes you within, takes you into yourself. And so today, even as we take a moment, talk about love, when we talk about compassionate love, when we talk about forgiveness, when we talk about all these things that we're talking about, I'm actually just inviting you into a journey to draw you in. I pray that by the Spirit, by the eternal Spirit, by the Spirit of truth, by the divine energy, whether you call by the power of God, whatever it is that you refer to, the entity that is supreme, that is um, the one that is the dominion, the one that takes preference, the one that is the pre-existing one, the eternal one, whatever it is that you refer to this entity, I just welcome you to be able to take a moment and just draw yourself in by the Spirit, because then the Spirit of God, or the Spirit that is eternal, or the creative force, is the one that will enable you to get to have a bigger and a better understanding of yourself by the end of this session, because then I'm actually just going to take you into a journey of experiencing and discovering yourself, because you are also part of love. So, what is love exactly? What is love? So, God we all know where we've come from. I mean, from the time we were in primary, we've always talked about God is love. And it is the thing that has been a fundamental principle in our belief, in our faith, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, whether you are the people that are traditional. If there's anything that has been in our conviction is that God is love. So what is love really? What is this that we're terming as divine love or compassionate love? What is this? So we all know that we are energy beings. Life is energy. Everything that we are doing, to speak is energy, to listen is energy, to sit is energy. Everything that we are doing is energy. And yet we have learned that in everything that we are doing, that we owe everything that we see, there's the consciousness of God. So one thing that we will agree on is that if we were to experience God, if we were to encounter God, anytime when we come back and we say that we've had an experience or an encounter with divinity, there is actually a representation of a form of energy that was previously or initially a state that we have not had an experience with or we have not encountered. So if this God is love, and if this God manifests as love, so what is love? Love is an energy. Love is a frequency. It's such a high frequency, and not only just the way that we are expressing love, but in terms of you understanding exactly how it is that you experience this. How do you say that so and so loves me? Because the problem is that we have defined love in our finite minds. We have defined love according to what the world has told us, according to what society has told us, according to what the media has told us. But how do you say somebody loves you? You say somebody loves you because then you experience it. You can sense when somebody actually has positive vibes to you. So, as we are saying that there is the polarity, last week we were talking about polarity. We are understanding, or we have come to understand, that in every expression, there's a good way of doing it and there's a bad way. There's a good and the bad, or there's the dark and the light. So there's the dark side of love and there's the light side of love. And all of this are manifested. So love is a frequency. Now, depending with the frequency, the level of the frequency, you can tell how impacting it is, or how deep it is, or how strong it is. So it's a frequency, just like sound. When you put up the volume when it's high, then you can say that the decibels are really high, and they can even affect your hearing. I mean, when the sound the frequency is so high, we can even break glass. When the frequency is good, we can even experience, just a healing from the sounds that we hear. And just the same as it is with all this other frequency when it comes to sound, so it is with the frequency of love. So love is a frequency. Love is energy. And as I've said, is a form of energy. And as I've said, it can be in the form of good energy and in the form of bad energy, positive energy and negative energy. And that is an existence, or a form of existence of love. So love influences, love can be felt, love can have its impact. The same way we have talked about how we can hear sound, the same way we can have, like, you can have a heat wave, or you can have a draft of the wind. That is exactly how love can be experienced, or how love can have impact on you, or how love can influence you. So what is love? Love is life. God is life. Love is life. And when you think about it, especially for those of us that would read the Bible, when you think about it in the book of Corinthians, it summarizes everything. God is love, and then, love is good, love is gentle, love is kind, love bears no evil, love, is patience, love is kind, it's long suffering, it is no, all these things. But Love is life. Love is a self-expression. So when we talk about love as an expression of self, we begin from the aspect of who God is. So for God so loved that he gave. For God so loved himself. First of all, God loved himself. God had a conscious awareness of who he is. And because he had enough love in himself for himself, what did he do? He expressed himself. How did he express himself? He expressed himself in the existence of making us to become an entity, a part of an entity, an expression of who he is, a manifestation of who he is or who God is, without saying he, or what God is, whether it's an it or whether it's this power, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. But the understanding of now that this divine entity, because it so loved itself, because it was so aware of itself, because it understood so well what it was, what happened, it gave an expression of itself. So love is expressive. There is never a time that you and me can awaken and say we love someone and we do not express it. And that would be a lie. So even as God expresses, this divine entity manifests itself or expresses itself in creating myself, in creating you, in creating every other person that you know, and all of us are so different in creating the birds in the air, in creating the sea creatures, in creating the animals that we see, in creating all these races that we see, in creating the beauty and the splendor that we see. That, my beloveds, is love. And that is an expression of love. So, what else is love? Love is unconditional. Love does not come with conditions. Love cannot, it cannot. If at all it becomes conditional, it is not because it has been demanded of, but it will come in form of now an expression of self in terms of showing or manifesting the love it has to another. Let's take, for example, being a wife to someone, being a wife to my husband, or whether you have a partner or whatever. When you say you love this partner of yours as a form of expression, what would you do? You will choose for yourself to keep yourself for this person, to stay um, aligned to you, to your relationship, to being faithful, to being committed, to being the person that is constantly expressing or manifesting the love that you have for this individual, not necessarily because they demand the same out of you, but because you have chosen yourself to put yourself in that place of saying, look, I'm going to be celibate. Why? Because I love this person. I treasure this person. I value this person. And so when there's that aspect of love, then there can never be any condition, but it is totally unconditional. But when it operates with condition, it is out of an expression of love and out of a manifestation of care, and that's good. So love has no boundaries. When you think about it, God, the divine entity, as we look upon everything that is created, there is no limitation to the one that is black or the one that is white or the one that is brown or the one that is yellow. There's really no limitation. All of us are breathing the same air. It's just that it is a function of who man is or what man has done that we see the disparities in life. But in essence, when you think about it, when you love fully, you love without restraint, you love without any limitation. There's no boundary. You can say that, that now because I love, that now you will do this to this person and you'll not do this to this person. I'm basically, I hope I'm not sounding like I'm speaking against what it is that I'm speaking about. I hope you will understand that, like, when you're looking at it from the aspect of love, from God's aspect, that there can be no boundary, there can be no limitation. So love is constant, Love thrives without change. I can't say I love you today, and then tomorrow I don't love you. I keep on laughing at the generation of today. I say, Your love is funny because your love is like, I love you, I hate you, come back, goodbye. They really don't know what it is that they want. The consistency of pulling through, this consistency of staying and really waiting and really believing the best out of you is what God does for us. And so, or to us. And that is basically an aspect of what divine love is. So it doesn't get switched on, switched off. And I think based on where we have come from, we have had this negative impression of who God is. And the God that we have, it's according to your faith. The way you perceive it, the way you see it, your understanding of what God's love is. We were thinking that now when we sin, then God doesn't love us anymore. So it's like that at that point the divine love is switched off. And yet the other day I was having a conversation with a very dear friend, and even as we were conversing, uh, she asked a question just on Sunday. She was like, I just wonder if I was to, like, we're talking about corruption and how is it that people that are spiritual will steal? How do they carry themselves? How do they go about their life? I said, whichever way, if you do business with God and if you get you're at peace within yourself concerning what it is that you do, many people will come out and they'll go and they'll leave. I was just like, I don't understand whether that, how do they live with themselves? How will they live with other people? I say, for as long as they've settled their own, you've done your own due diligence when it comes to your own intimacy and your own interaction with God, and you're okay within yourself, and you've also forgiven yourself, then you can come out and go and move on. Because guess what? Life does move on. It doesn't limit you. You don't get limited to your mistakes. So that's part of forgiveness anyway. But let me not go there for now. So love is constant. Love changes not. Love does not get switched on, switched off. Love does not get corrupted. It's pure as pure can be. And purity in this place might be relative, but God's love towards you and me is pure. God's love towards us is unlimited. It's not based on what it is that we do or we don't do. It's not based on how it is that we act or don't act. God's love is just defined. But most importantly, love is a choice. You and I choose whether to love or not to love. Isn't that an amazing thing to think about? That you choose when to love. You choose how to love. You choose who to love. You choose. It's your choice. But where God is involved, then God's choice is for all of us. And even as we continue in this engagement, we get to understand deeper and deeper. So the journey we are on today is a journey of self-discovery. It's a journey of self-awareness. For us to go back to ground zero, for us to go back to the very beginning, for us to be able to become so self-aware. Because when we understand who God is, and then you and I are created and in the image and in the likeness of what God is, then we are basically getting into a higher level of conscious awareness of who we are. And not only just stopping, because we have to keep on digging deep within ourselves. We have to keep on, like treasure, we have to keep on going deeper and deeper, because the deeper we go, the more we unravel and the more we encounter and the more we unleash or manifest or come into a greater understanding of who we are. The deeper we go within, the more solid we become in our self-awareness. And then as we do that, then we can move on towards self-actualization. Now, your self-actualization is not limited to things that we see in the natural, because we as human beings are so used to what it is that we're seeing in the natural. Like now, I want a discovery 4. So if my self-actualization would be for me to receive, to get the discovery 4, I'm like gravitating towards that. No, but we are new at every other moment. So my self-actualization, for example, when it comes to patience, because patience, being gracious with myself or being gracious with someone enough to endure a situation that is demanding or a situation that is taxing, at that point I am entering, I actually encourage or challenge myself into another level of higher consciousness and self-actualization as I keep on developing to become more patient. Now that's self-actualization. So it's not just self-actualization is not to say about the physical things that we're doing, but the deeper inner work. Remember, we are saying that we have been so used to going out, to focusing on the outside, when in essence, we're now drawing in. We're going into the secret place of our hearts, the secret places of who we are, on the inner being, and really just challenging ourselves to become more of God, to become more like love, to become more like God, to have more of God. Because as we do that, guess what? We become more of love. We become more like love, you know? And then we manifest that. And then you realize that the more you do a work inside, within you or in you, the easier it is for you to be able to manifest the same on the outside. So love is a choice, my dears. A choice that we make, yeah? You can choose who it is that you want to love. You can choose whether to do it or not to do it, you know, what it is that you can do when it comes to this love. You can choose what adds value to you when you're talking about this love, or what does not add value to you as an individual as you do that which you love most, you know, as an expression of yourself. Everything that we do every day when we wake up is a self expression. How it is that you wake up, how you waking yourself up in the morning. When you love yourself, you will be very gracious on how it is that you're waking up yourself in the morning, because then when you're waking up in the morning, you're given an opportunity. I like what Sadhguru says. He says, when you wake up in the morning, you know, that 3 o'clock, that 3 a.m. time, or 2:30, or wherever that time, when you find yourself awake, irrespective of what your religion is, when you wake up in the morning, wake up and go and do that which your religion demands of you. So if you wake up in the morning and you feel that, you know, your inner being is used to going to say a prayer, wake up and go and do a prayer. That's an expression of love. Wake up and do meditation. That's an expression of love. Wake up and do, and whatever it is that you'd want to do, just when you wake up in the morning, that is love. Because as you do that, not only are you doing it facing out on the outside, but more significantly, you're doing it drawing into yourself. Because as you connect with divine source or divine, divine energy, or, you know, this God that is within you, as you connect with that, you're not just connecting to anything, but you're connecting to the source of love. You're connecting to the essence of what it is that you are. And so you plug in into that. You plug into that which you are. And so as you do, through the various acts that you do in the morning, you realize then that love shines through you, that God shines through you, that energy shines through you, that force shines through you as a signal. You begin to broadcast it. We were having a conversation with Salim earlier, and as a signal, as an individual, I was telling him, I said, if there's any frequency I flow in the frequency of love. And so because I flow in the frequency of love, I try as much as possible, as within my ability, not to embrace being judgmental, being critical. I will speak my mind, but if I will speak it, I'll speak it out of a purity of care, out of a purity of concern for someone, but never out of a desire to pull down or to be negative. Why? Because it's a frequency that I flow in, and because it is an energy signal that I'm flowing in. Guess what? And when I go out there, I will attract people to me that will flow in the same frequency that I do. It's like the way a radio is there, you know, and when you're tuning into this signal, you must tune into that signal for you to pick the frequency that is there on the radio, for you to receive the emissions that are being sent to you But for as long as we are not aligned, there is no way that you can be able to send it out. So, if anything that we have to be able to understand is that love is a signal. It cannot be denied. It cannot be defied. It only needs attuning into. It needs for you to tap onto it, to tune into it, to get on board it, so that then you can, it is only then that you can realize just how distinctly powerful this is, how distinctly transformational love is, because then love is the God currency. Love is the currency of divinity. And for those of us that are Jesus followers, we learned that the only thing that will distinguish us from other people is the ability to love, is the love that you have for one another, is the love that you have for somebody else. But it begins by you understanding that love is a signal. You can send it. You can send it whether you like it, whether you understand it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. It's a signal that you emanate. It's a signal that you send out. There was a study that was done, and it showed that many of the people that are hardcore criminals either never experienced love, and not only just never experienced love, when they were at the point of birth, one of the most important times when a child is coming through is that when a child is born, the mother is given that opportunity to bond. So that's what the first level of this child experiencing love. That when you give birth, this child is brought back to you, and you're given that moment to just connect, for you to be able to share. You send out that signal of you loving this child and appreciating this child. That's the first level. It's also been shown in animals that when you take an animal away from its mother, the minute it is born, then there is no bond that exists there. That is how powerful love is. And then through the formative years as well, when we're younger children, when children do not get that opportunity, when they're developing early child development, and they do not get that opportunity to be loved on, or they don't experience that closeness with their parents, their mother, or whoever, there is normally a coldness that comes into a child, that many of these children, and it gets worse if the environment is negative, where instead of experiencing love, they experience their exact opposite. Then they grow up to be very, very disturbed individuals. They're the narcissists that are there. They can be very, very, they're the serial killers. But then a study has also proven that when they experience love in their lives, when they are able to just have that activated within them, then change and transformation occurs. So we have to appreciate that the only way transformation comes is when people get to experience genuine love, because through love, you and I can get to rewrite, we can rewrite the script through genuine love. And even as God has done it, or even as God is doing it, through love, you get to rewrite the script. You can be able to change your story. I can be able to change my story. We can be able to change the playing field that is life in all aspects. Because when you genuinely love someone, and even though love is progressive, you can genuinely be able to exhibit that which is God, by touching the souls of men, by such a very valuable currency that is love, and really just changing the paradigm of humanity. So, what is love? Love is a realignment. We are realigning ourselves with and to God. It's a going back. We go so far away. We get so off grid. We get so off track. We get so drawn away, pulled away from that which we are, or that which God is. So when we choose to go back to love, when we choose the path of love, we are realigning to God. We are realigning to ourselves. We are realigning, tuning in to the love force, because love is a force. It is a God force. When you are operating in love, even your own enemy, cannot have anything to be able to to push against you, because you're operating in God. You're operating in the element of divinity. You're operating in that power. There is nothing that is in you that can be withstood, because you're walking in the fullness of who you are and what God is. And that in itself is such a powerful tool to be able to have when we are dealing with people or dealing with situations and circumstances. So tuning into the love force and tuning into the God force makes us people or individuals that are so powerful and so transformational. Look at the Mother Teresa's, look at the Sadhgurus, look at all these guys, look at Nelson Mandela's. These are people that look, Martin Luther King, all these guys. If there's anything that you will appreciate, is that they had a currency of love that they were operating in, that they were expending, that they were dispensing, that made them to be distinguished. And it wasn't just they loved themselves enough to understand who they were, what their purpose was, why they were here, what aspect of who they are supposed to be manifesting. And they were not selfish enough to contain it, but they spread it out through the positive aspect of sharing love. And many years later, we can only be able to speak back. Let's talk about Wangari Maathai here in Kenya and her love for nature, an expression of self through taking care of nature. And we saw her as a Nobel Peace winner, Peace Prize winner. Why? Because then she was able to exhaustively extend herself and really get deep into the understanding of the price, because love is costly. The price that you have to pay, not only to get it, but to also expend it. And we can see how that was able to impact her life. So, love is a vibration between your heart and mind. Our heart vibrates on love. You will throb on love. You will see individuals who get excited. I know all of us at this point have experienced love where somebody has loved you and you are all giddy all over, because it makes you vibrate so high when you're in love. And at that time you can't see, at that time you can't hear. One, to you, if you are a person that believes that your love is blind, I tell people love is blind, but it's up to you to make it see, because love can see. True love sees. True love can see, this is good for me, this is not good for me. But many a times, because we prefer that it shouldn't be able to just exhibit the ability to see, we abuse love. But love is a vibration within us, and when we vibrate on this frequency, we are so high. We can go so far, we can do so much for the price of love. It beats within us, it beats within your heart and mind. It causes you to breathe out when you're walking in the consciousness and in the power and in the fullness of the element of love. You realize that you breathe it out into air. It becomes so effortless, by the way. It becomes so effortless because you are love. You breathe in love. And then when you are breathing out, you're breathing out love. You're only releasing what is in you. You can never give what you don't have. There can never be a shortcut to these things. And that's why you can look at somebody, you sit next to them, their energy is all bad, their vibration is all off. And you can just tell within that place, you can tell, no, 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 this is the wrong place to be. I don't need to be here. And so you're able to get out and to, especially when you realize you cannot be able to influence positively, you have no choice then to get off and get to the place where you will be able to manifest yourself. So with every breath we breathe in through our hearts. We breathe it into our heart center, the very core of our being. There's this space in our heart that exists that when we tap into, and that's why we are talking about drawing ourselves in, that we have to be so intentional to just take those moments and really just commune within ourselves, commune with ourselves, put our mind on pause and really just commune with ourselves into our heart center. Because when we get into that space where we connect, when we plug in, you find that you access freedom. You find that you access a fullness, a fulfillment, a richness that transcends everything else. Because then when you walk plugged in, you fear nothing, you know? You don't fear. You don't fear the bad times. You don't fear the trying times. You don't fear, the situations that are out here. You don't fear. You don't walk in hate. You try as much as possible to watch. And when you realize that this thing can cause disagreement, either you're either not getting embroiled in it, or if not, you're looking for ways to have an intervention concerning it. And if you realize that you're just not gonna get yourself muddled up, because then the very essence of who you are is love. Yeah. And that's the problem that we're realizing today, that many people, because they're not tapping into that, either looking at it negatively in terms of now flowing in the contrary aspect of what love is, which is hate, whereby now when they tap into that with the same fervency, where you love yourself so much that you hate somebody else in such a way that you are so full, so self-centered, so self-absorbed, so self-inclined, or so self-driven, to the point that you don't care about anybody else. So love is balance. It's not just about ourselves. It's also about the person that we are in with, the person that we are saying that we are loving. Because you can't say you love people and all you do is to be able to abuse them, misuse them, take advantage of them, and just saying that you love people. No, that's not love. And that's why we're seeing the countries that are fighting. We're seeing the fights that we have in our homes. We're seeing the fights that we have in business, in workplaces. We're seeing the fights that we're having in society, tribal clashes here. We're seeing religious clashes here and there. We're seeing all these wars that are there in one nation and another. Basically, because people are flowing in the opposite, on the dark side of love is. But the pure kind of love, the God kind of love, is a God, is a love that embraces, is a love that really just gathers and really just seeks to do good by others and not necessarily to self. So when we flow in that, you and I are able, when we just connect with, breathe love in us, breathe love through us, abide and dwell from our heart center, that place where God resides deep within us, then you and I, if we walk in that element and if we're able to really vibrate so high and really unleash that, that energy signal that is so strong, you and I can change. We can free humanity. We can change the face of humanity. You and I can be able to just flow and begin to restore life, to restore humanity to the very, very divine blueprint of who God was or what God is, you know, across the times that we're in the spaces that we're in, and in the reality, when you talk about time, space, reality, that you can be able to manifest love in your now, that now in this time, or now in this moment, at this particular time, because then the accountability does not just come, at that point of thinking. We like looking at the grander scale of things. No, we're talking about step by step, moment by moment. Am I abusing myself? If I love myself, I will not abuse myself. For the guys that do drugs and stuff, are you loving yourself and then you're abusing yourself? You're abusing yourself. You're abusing your body. This very temple that is sacred, you're abusing it. Those things that are of no value to you, then we lose it. But our responsibility is that even as we draw in and even as we draw back, we draw into God. No, we draw into ourselves, and then we draw into God, and then we draw back ourselves back into our who we were originally. And then we draw ourselves back to who God is. When we are able to fully do that on a personal level, that is when we can begin to restore man to the divine blueprint that was there, the highest, because then there's a low level of living, but then there's the higher level of living, of manifesting, of exhibiting what love is and what divinity is. But many of us, unfortunately, are living on the low levels. And so for us to be able to do that, we have to get into another level of consciousness. So understanding that we have a responsibility when we draw into love, when we get so full of love, then we can flow. We can go and just begin to pour it out. We can be outlets of love. We can call forth love from all aspects of earth, you know. We can call it, we can call it forth, we can pour it forth, we can pour it forth to those. We begin with those that are in our immediate environment. We can begin by first of all pouring out the water to those that are thirsty in our immediate environment. It doesn't make sense for us to be able to do greater works and those that are amongst us, those that are close to us. And this is just a challenge I'm also giving to myself, that look, am I able to expand? Am I going to be a channel of love to the people that I hold dear, to the people that see me on an everyday, every time? So we begin to call forth love, we call forth on all earth for everybody that is out there. But we begin in the earth that is our home. We begin in the earth that is ourselves. We begin in the earth that is our community. We begin in the earth that is in our businesses and all that we are doing. Because as we do that, we come to realize that the more we pour love and the more we just focus on love, then the more we channel it and the more we are exhibiting it and the more we are flowing in it and abiding and dwelling in it, then this, remember I talked about the God factor, talked about the God force just coming in, the God power. Love is God's power. Then you realize that love it opens up new pathways. Why? Because the more we walk in the purity of love, the more we walk in divine light. And the more we walk in divine light, the more we develop pathways or channels into the fields of transformation. Can you imagine? That is when transformation occurs. When you and I can truly become, you know, more like this divine entity, more like this God that is so full of love for you, full of love for me, you know, free. Me and you are free. God does not impose on us. God has not forced us. But because of that, just self-giving, because you can't love and you don't even pour yourself out for something. No, it can't be. There has to be a sacrifice. Love is sacrifice, you know. But as we do that, then as I said, we can rewrite, we can realign humanity. Yeah, we can be able to begin to exhibit just what are the highest, what are the best outcomes, what is the best possibility, you know, what is the best, what is the highest, what's the best that you can do, what's the best that you can become, what is the best that you can be. Wouldn't it be amazing if we just flow in that understanding that God is love, and that when we walk in love, the purity of what love is, not the corruptible one, because then as we say, there's light, there's darkness, there's God is experiencing himself. Even the love that we're talking about, you can experience love in beauty, you can experience love in purity, you can experience love in divinity. And the more we flow with it, the more we flow in it, the more we walk in light. The lie that makes us think that if we were not walking in love, we're walking in light, it's a lie. It just means that you're either not walking in the fullest manifestation of what light is. You know, you're not walking at the brightest. You can be brighter than how you are, because the more you embrace divinity, the more you embrace purity, the lighter you become, the more brighter you become, the more compelling you become, the more appealing you become. So the more we flow with it, the more we flow in love, the more we walk in light. And when we walk in light, you realize that we are raising our consciousness, because the inner man becomes so conscious, so aware, so in tuned, so aligned, that now some of those things that we struggle with, yeah, we transform more, we move more into the light, and the darkness lessens its hold, and we become less of these dark entities, because then they're those things that we are, or they're those things that we have become based on where we have been. And it's all good, because each and every one of us here has a story. I don't know, maybe I'm the only queer one, right? But we all have come from where we've come from. We all come with the baggage that we come with. But as we keep on scoring ourselves, as we keep on engaging with divinity, as we keep on discovering ourselves, as we keep on challenging ourselves to just get into another higher level of existence, then you realize that the darkness becomes less and less and less and less. Because yes, there's always now the opposite. In dark, when you're feeling like dark, there's light in you. And when you're feeling like your light, there's always an aspect of darkness in you. So this is a constant transformation that we have to keep on seeking out. That when you're feeling like, no, I'm the baddest of the baddest, there's still light in you. So you have to work on that light and really just activating the light and following and pursuing after the light. And when you're feeling like you're so light, please understand that there's darkness in you. So when you identify that, you keep on identifying what the dark is, and that you allow the divinity that is in you, the power that is in you, the light that is in you, and the life of what this divine entity is comes in and takes over and just rules. And so we become transformed, and that is a key to it. So you and I are conscious beings. You and I are light beings. You and I are created to just be conscious light beings that manifest, that walk in consciousness and manifest light. Because as we manifest light, you realize that we will automatically manifest manifest love. And so as we breathe in the light, we have to always remember this very simple truth. We have to always let ourselves feel the truth of who we are. Many a times we don't allow ourselves for just one moment to sit and actually just tell ourselves, you know what, Sheila, you're a divine being. You know what, Salim, you're a divine being. You know what, Abba, you're a divine being. Timothy, you're a divine being. All of us, Kamau, we are divine beings. We're not just anybody. We're not just nobodies. We are somebodies. And not just somebodies. We are the ones. We are the ones that carry divinity in us. We are the ones that God has poured himself into us. As Paula, as Carol, all of us are divine entities. But unfortunately, what happens is that we don't live in that consciousness. We have to remind ourselves that, look, I am love. I am God. I am divinity. I am everything that God is who I am. And so by consciously waking and walking in this truth and really reminding ourselves and letting ourselves know and letting ourselves be aware and letting ourselves be fully conscious of this, then we can begin to really live in our element. We were sharing with Salim, I don't know what we were talking about. And he was laughing. I was saying, it's funny. How do you say you're in Nairobi and then you want to go, and then you're saying you want to go to Nairobi? You're already in Nairobi. You're already in Mombasa. You're already in Nigeria. You're already in the U.S. And then you're in the U.S., but because of not having a conscious understanding of who you are, of what you are, you're totally misaligned. You're totally dysfunctional. You're totally not in your element. You're not flowing in the element of who you are. So we are light bearers. We are the light. We're children of the light. We're sons of God. We are an extension of source energy, of divine intelligence. That the minute I saw that, I said, hey, I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. I mean, I'm smart. I have the sharps. I have the smarts. I'm okay. I'm switched on. So that means I can be able to grasp anything. I can be able to, just do that which I desire to do, because then I am infinite, an aspect of infinite, intelligence. As finite as I might be, I'm still an infinite source of what love is. And so we have to allow God to channel the same through us, because God abides in us, divinity abides in us, divinity dwells in us. And when we understand that which we are, then we will pursue those paths of expression, where we give God an opportunity to express himself, itself, herself, whatever it is that you call your entity, really doesn't matter, right? But this divine entity, you give that avenue of self expression through you as you manifest that which you desire to do. So let yourself feel that truth of who you are. Remind yourself, let yourself know so that you can begin to see it, to embrace it, you know, to see it as the light that you are, to see yourself as the love channel that you are, to see yourself as the source of transformation, the transformational channel that you are. And then as you begin to see yourself in that light, you allow that to absorb you. You allow that to really just, to really just, like we're talking about the essence of who God is. You know, the presence is an essence. It's like the way it's like the sweetness of something or the goodness of something. If I was to give you, I love perfumes. The essence of the perfume is the smell. You can tell this person has one costly perfume because of the smell, because of the durability. So the essence of what love is the smell that you leave on people. Are you appealing, or does somebody look at you and somebody's like, yeah? And I'm not saying that yes, you won't get that when people also have their own issues. There are people who come with their own demons and they have their own entities that are there. But you and I, when you just flow in who you are, and when you unleash the love that is in you, you unleash God in you, and you allow God to unleash divinity in you, godliness through you, purity of love in you, light, transformational light in you, this energy to vibrate in you, to vibrate through you, just to have this conscious awareness. Then you realize that as you live in that, then you can begin to pour it out as your light. That is why people will get drawn to you. Charisma, we talk about, people being charismatic. They have this pull, they have this appeal to people. People get drawn to them. Then you keep on pouring out if that which you are, the essence of what you are, the essence of what you carry. And most of all, you now begin to understand that you're an integral part of this process. You're an integral part of life. You connect with that which connects everything. And what is that connects everything? Love connects everything. God connects everything. The Spirit connects everything. So you connect with that which connects everything. And in a way that when you are connected, when you're now connected to everything, then you know that by so doing, you connect to everyone. And when you connect to everyone, there's that one energy that flows. There's that aspect of you being like you are as a source of divine entity that is within you. You're connecting with people, and when you're connecting with people, yeah, as you connect with them, everything else also connects to you. Why? Because then there's that pull. There's that pull of that which is God in you. The God in you now comes and connects with the God in me. And then now you realize that we all gel together. We are a community, not because of money. We are a community some of us have never met. Some of us might never meet. We might only probably be meeting virtually. But what is drawing you to me and what is drawing me to you? There's this pool of divinity. There's this pool of godliness. There's this pool. I was looking at Saleem sharing earlier about the person, and everybody else was giving this and that and that. Why? Because that is an expression of love. Yeah? That is an expression of love. Because when you know that you have connected with that which is the God in you, then you know you have an obligation to also connect with yourself. And as you connect with yourself, then you are connecting now to everything and to everyone. And you're not just disconnected. So as we look as we just continue thinking about love and just talking about love, remember that love is an expression. You cannot say you're loving and you're not expressing. Yeah, you cannot say that you are loving and you cannot be able to just manifest it, show it, let somebody else feel it, let somebody else bear witness of it, let somebody else be able to testify of that which you're saying. That is love. And sometimes if it means a muzzling of your mouth, sometimes if it means a walking away, sometimes if it means, a drawing into, because then there are people that we have to draw into to pursue them so that they can be able to experience love, whatever it is, then you have to just be very intentional. So when we look at now, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we connect to people? The place of compassion, when we're talking about the compassionate love, I was just thinking of, I was thinking of the electric grid. And as I was looking at that, if you've done a flight, then you know when you're having an aerial view, the electrification of an area will show you, it connects this household. So depending with how much a place is lit up, then the skyline is well lit when the flight is coming in. Now, if it's a place where it's not so well lit, you will see it so sporadically, it's sporadic on this end, this end, this end. That is what we're talking about when you're talking about raising now the level of consciousness. We want to get to the place where when people look at us, when it comes to now these different universes or these different levels that we are hearing, third density, what, we want to raise our level of consciousness so high spiritually, such that when they look at us, the level of consciousness is so high. Yeah, it is so high. But better yet, that for you and I that are living here on earth, that our level of consciousness is no, love is so high. And our consciousness of the need to walk in the same is also so high, to the point that we're just exhibiting and manifesting the same. And that is important. So how do we connect? How do we, what brings us together? Because somebody will say, so how do I love a stranger? Even as you're talking, how do I love somebody that I've never known? How do I connect with someone? How do I connect with someone even when my heart is looking like it's jumping out of the window? How do we do that? Compassion. Compassion is just being kind hearted, having goodwill, having a kindred spirit to people. So sometimes we grow to love people. Sometimes we love immediately. People fall in love. Yeah, people, you love your child, you love your mother, you love your brother, you love your parent, you love your sibling. What about the stranger? What about that person that you do not know? That is when compassion comes in. So in between, even when you're looking at, even if we were to take a jar and we filled it in with marbles, and then as we filled it in marbles, we say that this is you, this is the body, this is you, and then as this is you, the jar is you, and then the marbles fill. This is love. Fill. You will still realize that there are spaces that are there in existence in between. So compassion is that space, and we've seen that. I don't know whether you saw that clip of this guy who came and he filled stuff in, kept on filling, and there was still space, filling, still space, until I think he poured in sand, and then he comes and he pours water. So compassion is that space that is between us, between you and that person. Compassion is actually what is like the web of life that connects us to everybody. Yeah. When you're compassionate with someone, remember we said we are connected to all these people. The people that we fight with are just the opposite of who we are, you know. So when you're compassionate with people, you become gracious with them. You have an awareness. You now know that you are all connected. We are all connected. We can choose, therefore, to plant a positive intention. We can choose, therefore, to cultivate positive deeds, good deeds to one another, good thoughts to one another. We can begin, therefore, to just send out positive waves and positive vibrations to people. We can begin to really just have a positive effect on other people. We can. And hopefully, we believe in that there will be a beneficial ripple that will now flow out through the rest of existence. It will just flow throughout everything that is. Compassion is one of the biggest ways or means of communication that when you will see, whereas others will say no, and when you feel like at least this person deserves a chance, say the yes. Being gracious with people, being kind hearted to one another. That is what now helps us to connect with those people that are not necessarily ours, because as I've said, love grows. Yeah. And even as we were also talking about now the consciousness of now walking in forgiveness, even for self or whatever, we need to learn to be compassionate, to love ourselves enough to be gracious with ourselves, enough to be merciful with ourselves, enough to be compassionate with and to ourselves. It has to begin with us, guys, because God has already given it to us. God does not condemn us, God does not judge us. God is not this guy up there having an axe in his hand, just waiting for you to do wrong so that he can come and smack you. That's not who God is. God is just full of compassion. And so, as we begin to just do that compassionately and caring about people and being kind to the one that we see that is in our nearest environment, to the one that is not, that is further away from us, we can be able to just send forth good thoughts, good vibes, set positive intentions to people, and then begin to see the impact of the same through our very thought, through every emotion that we experience, through every intention that we will set, you know. Then when we begin to do that, we walk in a higher level of consciousness and love that is clearly beneficial for all of us. So, and that is how you and I can be able to walk in that. I was asking myself, Sheila, what's your energy signal? Yeah, sometimes you're like what's the energy signature? The same way you have a signature, you sign your signature, chap 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 chap, that the bank knows that this is you. What is your energy signature? Yeah, what is your energy signature? Many of us people, when they just look at us, we have such negativity, we're just dark. There's these things that we have allowed to be um the person of who we are. When you're signing on that paper that the bank can say, no, this is a signature that is faulty, and yet it's your money, they won't remove. Why? Because the signature is not compatible with who you are. So when you're asking yourself, let me ask you yourself, what's your energy signature? You know, what is it that you're broadcasting? Are you broadcasting love? Are you broadcasting hate? Are you broadcasting envy? All these things that are contrary to love. And I didn't need to go into like now First Corinthians, because I believe all of us know that. But everything that is contrary, according to our own ability to describe it, what is your signature? What's your energy signature? Because then we broadcast it, we send out that signal, and then we either cause people, pull people, or we repulse them. So if your energy signature is wrong, then you need to work on that. You need to work on that. And how do we work on that? Really just realigning ourselves to the very crucial factor, the very crucial frequency, the very crucial force field of the God entity in you and in me. Yeah. The divine entity that is in you and in me. What is that? It's a currency of love, right? So just like in that energy grid, let's flow in love. Let's just begin to switch on the lights and really just tap into who we are and what you are. So you and I um, ultimately, the more we walk in love, yeah, the more we affect what there is. That energy signature is so real. That energy field is so real. It exists, guys. It exists. Maybe if you've never been there or if you've not understood, it exists. But we have to embrace the path of light, because the more we embrace the path of light, the more we embrace the path, or rather the path of love, we embrace the path of God, we embrace the path of God, we embrace the path of light, we embrace the path of light, we embrace the path of life, we embrace the path of life. We there's impact that is felt, you know, felt across people, felt in every way, felt in every heart, without you struggling. Yeah. So what we need to do is just um, for us to intend to always just let ourselves just forever aspire to go to the next level of holding more light, of having more light than we have ever had. You know, to just challenge ourselves, or to have more love, to have more, to walk in more love, to have more love within us. Yeah. So that as we do that, then it will be easy for us to send out more love, yeah, to contribute more love into this grid called life, to give more joy, to give more peace, to give more compassion, to give more goodness, and then to just purpose within ourselves to turn away from from thinking or from dwelling in the lower vibrations, because then you realize that, and as we have learned, there are many things that make us to be low vibrational beings. And Kamau had talked to us. We know that the food that we eat, the things that we dapple with, there is the relationships that sometimes we are in that really are draining. They're not positive influencers. So we need to really just stop vibrating so low, because then there's a higher level of living, there's a higher level of existence, there's a higher level of consciousness that we have to embrace, because it's there for us. We cannot be the same people that we were last week. From the podcast that was there last week, if you're still there, you're really, really doing such an injustice to ourselves. If I'm still there, I'm doing an injustice to myself, so that it doesn't look like I am anywhere. No, we're all in this journey, we're all in this process, so that then we come out from the low levels, we go to the higher levels, we embrace those things that are of value to us, and we ultimately let go, of those things that really do not add any value, but we appreciating, and we are gravitating to the higher self level of existence, so that at the end of the day, we can walk in our fullness of who we are. So when we talk about embracing our divinity, you realize that there is who you are in the carnal sense of it. When your mind, that your carnal mind, I think in counseling we used to call it the super id and the ego and all these things. If there's ever any animal that you and I need to tame, it's the monkey of a mind that is in us. The day that we will be able to control our minds is the day that we'll have one of the greatest breakthroughs in our lives. Because then your mind will lie to you. Your mind will tell you all these things. It will justify you in what it is that you're doing that you shouldn't do. It will really make you really, really, really embrace a wrong path that is not a path that is fulfilling or whatever. And then it will cause you even to fear. I like what Salim says. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, whatever it is that you're fearing. Perfect love casts out all fear whenever we are walking in the fear, whether it is to a human being. I know, for example, those that are married, people fear, oh, my husband this, my wife this. Then that love is not perfected. That love is not wholesome. Love sees no evil. It anticipates no evil. It keeps track of no evil. Yeah. So when we have fear, we cannot say that we are walking in the love of God, because then the love of God knows that there's works in faith. is fully persuaded that, if God is in it, then it's okay, I'm winning it. If God is in it, I'm winning it. And if God is in it, then this will work for my ultimate good and my utmost good. So you do not fear. You do not fear situations. You do not fear circumstances. You do not fear, but you embrace your path, because then you know that you're a God entity. You are a small g God, You're the essence of what God is, because you're an expression of the love God to humanity, you. And so it doesn't matter what it is that we go through or where it is that we have been, because when we talk about the things that we have done, the paths we have gone, when we understand the love of God for us, we will have no path, no room for self condemnation, because there is therefore no condemnation, because every other moment I'm a new being. You're a new being. You're a new creation. Every moment, you're not the same one that you are. But are you conscious of that? Are you aware of that? If you're able to come into agreement, and we were talking the other time, I said that acceptance is the threshold, is what is begins to make things stand for you when you're on a negative path. When you come into acceptance and into agreement with whatever situation it is, and we know that confession, for example, is actually coming into agreement and agreeing anyway, what I did was wrong, so I accept it was wrong, and I shouldn't have done that. That is an acceptance as it is. You're already making peace within yourself. But if you understood God's mind towards you, God doesn't hold you ransom. God doesn't hold it against you. Because if you've already done due diligence with God and it is settled, it's about time that you also began to forgive yourself. And so if you're able to just pack that mind that will, tell you and remind you, keep on reminding you of where it is that you have come from. I think the biggest breakthrough you can ever have is the breakthrough of forgiving yourself. Because for God, you can say, I'll go and remove, before we used to be told, go and bring a tithe, go and bring an offering, go and bring a tithe of tithes, go and bring a what? A sacrificial offering. There are those things that you can do that we were used to doing that would give us that conviction. But then there's that which is internal. There's the work that is internal within you, within your psyche, within your spirit man, within your mind that keeps on reminding you. By the time you're going to talk, your mind just tells you, stop. Don't even talk. Remember, you did this. No, 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 no. I think the biggest expression of self love is, or the biggest expression of God's love is forgiveness of self. And not only just forgiveness of self, forgiveness of each other, because then you realize that even you, God has forgiven you. God has forgiven you and will keep on forgiving you. And when you go to, he obliterates it. I thank God for this Bible that says that he takes it and he buries it in his sea of forgetfulness, so that it is no longer remembered. But now the one who keeps on raising that memory is you and I. So let go. Don't think small. Don't live small. You're not there to just be, living in the shadows of your mistakes, living in the shadows of the blunders you've done. Those things that come with you. Like stones that are tied to your wrists, to your legs. You can't even move. They limit you. And forgiveness will cause you to not make any movement whatsoever, because you're fully persuaded that you are unworthy. You're fully persuaded that you cannot, that you should not, that you will not. And yet those are lies that your ego mind feeds you. So the minute you are able to deal with it, pack that mind and engage the divinity in you, engage the divine one in you, then you begin to just shine bright. You begin to live uniquely. You live uniquely according to your truth that you are a child of God. You're a divine entity. And then are you able to just walk fully in God's love for you? And when you go and walk in God's love for you, then you walk in the element of God's love for yourself, in you for yourself. And then you walk in God's love in you for others. It makes my life much more easier. And so Those who love much, you have realized they have gone through much, they have been forgiven much, they love much. But the Pharisaical spirit, or those that are religious, will look at others and point fingers and do this and do that. But yet they forget that God's mercies are new every morning. The love is steadfast. He shows us compassion. God shows us compassion every moment by moment. But the only thing is that we are our worst executioners. We execute ourselves. We kill ourselves. So forgiveness for me is just coming into alignment with accepting that, yes, I have fallen short. But not only have I fallen short, I am now at a place, I'm a recipient of grace, I'm a recipient of mercy, I'm a recipient of God's goodness for my life. And so the onus is always for you to pick yourself up, for me to pick myself up after that blunder and move on. So my challenge to you is that as you reach, as you continue just reaching out and encouraging ourselves to go to the next level of becoming. We are all becoming. We have not become. We will never become. We are all revolving. We are all evolving. As we keep on embracing that path, as we keep on pursuing that path, as we keep on allowing light to come in, the secret is in you allowing love, because when you allow love, God comes in. When you allow God to come in, light comes in. When you allow light comes to come in, then you realize life comes in. And as you allow all this to come, and the God factor that is so crucial, yeah, as you allow this to come in, you realize that there's a falling away of that which serves you not. Many of us have a lot of baggage. We carry baggage. We carry these things that we carry that we are finding to be so precious. But when you think about it before God, it's trash. To us, it's such a treasure. But to God, it is trash. Because then what it is that this divine intelligence has in store for you is much, much more grander, is much, much more, richer, that we will just let go of the hearts, the hang-ups, of yesterday. We can let go of the disappointments, let go of the failed expectations, let go of the blunders, whatever, just let go. And then just know that these things that I'm holding, you're holding so dear to you, huh, they're not serving you anything. So allow them. They will fall away. The more you embrace God, the more the falling away of these things can. But you and I, um, you and I just need to, how do I say? You and I just need to make a commitment to choose to make flowing and abiding and dwelling and responding and navigating life with love to be a priority. You know, let love be a priority, because when we walk in divine love, all these other things that we're struggling with, fear, hate, rivalries, anxieties, unforgiveness, bitterness, all these other things that we are having, all these other things that we are carrying, the day that we embrace love, we realize that it is not something that you're working with. Love is not, but it's not even just an idea you have heard. No, it's a reality for you. It's a reality for me. It's a priority. It is who we are. It is what we are. It's the foundation. It's the core of who we are as individuals. Even animals are exhibiting better than you and I do. And yet they're animals, as in the whole of creation, yeah, embraces it. So when we do that, we will embrace making not fearing a priority, no discrimination a priority, not judgmentalism a priority, no hate a priority, no competition, no envies, no bitterness. All these things will just make letting go or shelving those a priority, so that we can begin to practice conscious awareness, that you can consciously just navigate your mind and tell yourself, hey, by the way, this story, this thing, just let it go. Just letting go. Huh? Why? Because then you are totally aware that the person that has annoyed you, that person that is you're so mad at, that person that you have held them at ransom for the longest, is just a mirror. They're just a reflection. Mm-hmm. They're just a reflection of you. A reflection of you. They're just a mirror of you. Um, we are all just ultimately one energy, focused in consciousness. All of us, we are all one energy. We are all contributing to it, positively or negatively. We are contributing to it. We are all part of that one energy that has been split up into many small energies. But whether we like it or not, whatever it is that we are doing is contributing as we are awakening more and more. Our awakening is contributing to the conscious awareness of everybody else generally, for everybody else. Can you imagine that even as you are walking in love, you're contributing to that love grid. You're contributing to the life grid, to the transformation grid. You're contributing to all there is in this world where divinity is concerned. You're an active player, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. There are things that you cannot defy. There are things that you cannot deny. Like you denying who you are. I'm Sheilah. It's like me denying I'm Sheilah. How? I mean, who does that? Right? So we are all ultimately just one energy. We are source energy. We are all an aspect of source energy. Whether you are red, yellow, fat, thin, tall, young, old, we are all just aspects of that one energy. We are all focused in this consciousness, and that is where this God wants us to get into that level of living, so conscious with the times, the seasons, the levels, the heights, the depths, all those things, that we have to get to that level of reality. Yeah, focusing ourselves on how we shall be able to manifest the same on this physical reality, because that is an existence that is there in the spiritual for the purpose of our own soul development, because this soul needs to develop and this soul needs to grow. This soul needs to be all that it is meant to be. There is no denying. If we all know how this is going, this is just a path of existence from one level to another. When we walk in that consciousness, we cannot afford to be ignorant. The onus on your development is on yourself, not your past, not Saleem, not myself. All of us are on our own journey. And I like what Saleem keeps on saying. Nobody will save the other. Nobody. You can only highlight the path. But when you highlight the path, it's up to the rest to follow. It's up to the one that has been highlighted for to take that step and to follow through. You cannot force them, because free will is still there. Free will is something that will never be taken away from us, and it shall never be taken away from you. Otherwise, if we don't exercise free will out of the fear, we fear, we fear, we fear destruction, we fear death, we fear. These things that we are fearing that will catapult us to doing the things that we are doing are not only not fulfilling, because you end up doing things that you don't have any joy in, but they are also very, very counterproductive. Why? Because many people get repulsed by that which has no essence of love in it, that which does not have any essence of divinity, that which does not have any essence of godliness, that which does not have any essence of life, that which does not have any essence of, just this love that we're talking about, of transformation. If it doesn't have essence of that, then before men, you are not going to be able to have the kind of impact you would desire. So the only currency that men understand is the currency of love. That is a currency that you will not fall short of. that you will not be limited in, but that you can be able to experience in its fullness. And having said that, I am complete. And if anybody has any question, then we can be
Yeah,
able to share.
thank you very much, my sister Sheila. I don't really have a question. I just want to expound on this aspect of love. This is how I will define what love is. Love is the ever present presence that has no absence. Ever present presence that has no absence. And this thing is actually supported even by our scriptures, because in the beginning, the Word was with God. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Then this Word manifested into flesh. This is how it manifested into flesh, created in the image and likeness of God. So, number one, let us ask ourselves, like, what is that likeness of the image of? What is that image in that likeness of God? When he says, I have, when we are told that we have been created in the image and likeness of God, what is that likeness in that image of God? That word which was with God and which was God is what the ever present presence that has no absence is. And we are told that it manifested in flesh, meaning that it came to fruition, or it manifested into matter, into material, into physical. And this is what is said, the likeness of the image of God. It came from the Word, and this Word was with God. And before it came into manifestation, there was even that first divine thought. First divine thought. Because nothing comes forth before that first divine thought. And this is the first divine thought. It was that Christ. It was that love. And for that thought to be divine, something was to be there so that it can bring forth creation. For something to be eternal, time must be involved. This time is what wisdom is. Out of love and wisdom, the love together with the wisdom creates eternity. So when the Word was with God, and he was God, and the divine thought was what the Word was, and for it to be divine or eternal, there was to be time factor so that it can become eternal. And the time factor here is the wisdom. That's why I was talking to Shira the other day, and I was telling her that time is not moving. Time is still and constant. We are moving within time. We are moving within time. And as we are moving through cycles. And these cycles are cycles of wisdom. One density to another density, to another density. All within this one infinite creator. And this is what Jesus meant when this is actually the real thing, when Jesus said that my Father's house has many mansions. Is moving through that wisdom, which is time. It is constant. But because we are in the third density, we think that we are moving in time. What we are moving with time, not knowing that we are just moving within time, which is constant, which is wisdom. And creation came forth because of that divine thought, which was Christ, and which was love, plus the wisdom, love and wisdom. Now, this love, what we call as love, is not defined by anything. It's not defined by anything, because this love is everything. Everything is love in the universe. It exists only love, nothing else. It exists only love. Because even those who embrace darkness, those who embrace Satan, they embrace him out of love. Any negative thing is embraced out of love. Good things out of love. You can't do anything without you having the love within it. You cannot do anything without you having the passion within it. Because if you love darkness, then you have the passion of darkness. And this is what compassion means. Because this compassion is towards, it is coming to passion. Compassion, coming to passion. So the compassionate love exists in every body and in everything, even in the negative people, because whatever they're doing, they are doing with because of the love they have out of that. So they come back with the passion. Now it becomes stronger, like, because immediately it becomes the compassionate love. You have the deeper feeling of the other thing which you love. It's not defined by anything because it's everything. It is everything because love is God. Everything is God. And the trickiest part is that Sheila just said, like someone who everyone has love, but they will use the same love to create negativity. No one creates negativity because they don't have love. They create it because they love that negativity. You follow the good things because you love good things. So this love is not defined. It's not defined. It is neutral. It goes where you project it. Where your energy go, where you focus is where your energy goes. And one thing about this love is that it is creative. It's the energy of love is the Christ, is the Spirit of God. It is a creator spirit. Where you project it, it goes and it creates that and becomes that. It's not biased. And this is, many people in the church will always be talking about the unconditional love of God. But if you ask people, what is this unconditional love of God which we are all experiencing? And we don't know, because we are taking we're just stuck in the physical. When we strive by our own strength sometimes, and then we buy cars, do this or physical things, we think that we have received that out of the compassion with the unconditional love of God. And yes, it could be that. But this creative source, this creative energy, where you project it, it is where it goes and it creates, because the Christ within us, or the Spirit of God within us, which dwells in our souls, it is here for you to express it. You pull it from within and express it through you as itself, in whatever way. And this is why we are told that ye are gods, and ye are all sons of the Most High God. The Spirit of God is at a neutral state, there, ready to give it an experience. So what experience are you going to give it outside? If you decide to use the same energy or the same spirit to give it a negative experience, it will be that. If you put that one to experience itself through you in a positive experience, it becomes that, because it's not bias, it's everything. Everything is God, everything is love. Only love exists. So when you pull that, when you take the Christ within and push it to a negative side, it takes forth big time without judgment, because you have given it expression out of yourself as itself to express that. And it's not going to put any resistance, because it is also that. I create the good, I create the dark, and I create the light. I bring the good and I bring the evil. I, Lord God, does them all. So whenever you project it, it goes without judgment. People, there is no judgment. Spirit of God has got no judgment. How can the Spirit of God judge you when it is already that which you have done, or that which you are projecting? Because nothing is outside of God. Everything is within God. Because nothing exists outside of God, apart from God. No judgment. Where you project it, it is where it goes. Because this whole creation is like God was whole. Then he split himself into many, many parts, from the lowest density to the highest density. For what purpose? To experience and realize himself. Because in the absence of what you are not, what you are does not exist. Just within God, inside of God, in the absence of darkness, the light does not exist. There will only be love. And this is the reason why where you project it, it goes. Because first came love, and out of love came light and darkness. Where light and darkness are all but two faces of the same guy. So he is all experiencing of what he is not, to come to the realization of what it is. The more you bring, the more you bring negative experience to the Spirit of God, you give the Spirit of God an external experience, a projection, an experience of itself through you as itself. No matter, even if you magnify that, it will take forth, because the more it is projected to the negative, the more it becomes aware of itself. That is of light. And this is the greatest reason why even scientists have discovered that the universe is expanding. The universe is expanding, people. Yesterday's God is not tomorrow's God. Tomorrow's God is bigger than yesterday's God. What is constant is that pure essence. which is love. It is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because it was with God, and it was God, and it manifested into reality of the material and form. It is an ongoing process. That's why the universe is expanding. The more experience the universe is getting, the more is coming to the realization of itself. Realization. This is the realigning. When you come to the realization, you get realigned. And this realization is nothing else but the remembering. When we say that, when we say realign, it means that first, which came first before that, it was alignment, then it got lost. Now it's getting back into alignment, realignment, realization. You realize, realization comes through consciousness. Is realization. But energetically, you get realigned. You come to the remembering. And this is darkness. This is what darkness is. Darkness is nothing else but just the state of forgetfulness. It is just the state of forgetfulness. It has no energy by itself. Darkness has got no energy. It is passive. No one can create darkness, people. No one can create darkness, because darkness, the simplest definition of darkness is that darkness is just but the absence of light. It is the forgetfulness. Darkness is not created. It is a shadow. Darkness is a shadow, meaning there is blockage of light. And how do you bring light to that? You come to the remembering because of that forgetfulness. The state of forgetfulness is that which brings darkness. It has no energy. You cannot generate darkness. No one in the universe can generate darkness. Because even in the beginning, people should know this. God was in the void. The void is not darkness. Many people are taking the state of void to be darkness. The state of void is the state of nothingness, without definition or form or nothing. It is even nothingness is a description. It is the state of nothingness. Nothingness. And God did not even create light and darkness. I think they're just putting it to God. God said this, let there be light. Only. And he didn't say, and let there be darkness. He didn't say that. He said, let there be light. And there was light. And separation occurred. And this is what happens always. If you are inside your bedroom right now, stand by the switch, put it off, and speak to yourself, let there be light, and put on the switch. See, it has no energy. Immediately light is projected to the darkness, it vacates. You can never project darkness into light, never, because darkness does not have energy. Like when you are in a room, even right now in your bedroom, when you go outside your bedroom and your lights are on, you will see light overflowing. When the windows are open, even the door, the light will overflow outside and bring and replace darkness. When you come back inside and Now see this darkness outside. Can it also overflow through the and open all the windows and all the doors and see if this darkness will come inside and replace the light? It can't. That's why even for you to get light in your house, you only have to be able to pay the electricity bills. But darkness, for your house to be dark, no electric bill is needed, because darkness does not exist. It is a shadow of something blocking the light. It is just the absence of light. It is the same God. When he forgets of one part of himself, it is the same thing. Any place where that light decides that I want to vacate, what comes automatically is darkness. And it is of no other source, but they are all from love. It came forth love. From first came love, then which came forth is the light and darkness. And it took, every path took its way. And darkness is here to balance the light. You can never know fire burns until it burns you. You can never know it rains and shines until they both are here. These are the two polarities of God. And we are supposed to be walking in those polarities. But this, the end of this journey, the final destination of the journey is always oneness and love. Because love is the ever-present presence which has no absence. And no matter how we try to act, we fail to manifest this love because we are not even loving. Do you know why we are not loving? We are not loving because we go to churches and the mosques and religious places to learn how to love. How can one learn how to be what she or he already is? You're going to learn to be what you already are. You're going to learn to be your pure essence. You're waiting for someone to teach you or to guide you to be what you are. What you are. Like, look at yourself right there. Don't define yourself with everything outside of you. Like, what you are right there. You're going outside of you yourself. Outside of you yourself. Because you cannot, from within yourself, come to the remembering of who you are. You get outside of your body to the things which you can only perceive by your physical. You can only perceive because through your own 5 physical senses. This is why we are not experiencing God. We are not experiencing God because we think that only what we can perceive by our 5 senses, what we can touch, what we can see by our eyes, what our pastors can tell us, what we can see in our religious books, what we can hear our pastors tell us, it's all about getting stuck into physicality. And no matter how we might claim that we are religious or we are spiritual, but if you are stuck to a perception, if you are limited, your limit is only to what you can see. I cannot believe this until it is written in my religious book. I cannot believe this until I hear it from my religious book. Let me tell you, hearing seeing, touching, tasting are but 5 physical sensory organs. These are the only parts which were given to human to experience physicality. When you tell someone you are in flesh, it means they are in physicality. When you tell someone they are in materialistic, they are in physicality. When you tell somebody else that you are in flesh, while yourself you are stuck to what, until what Salim says is I will follow, until what my pastor says I will follow, until what a prophet I see I will follow, until what a religious book I follow is what I can see. You are the same, you are in the same group with those in physicality. Everything which we perceive in the we perceive with our physical senses, they are things of physicality. No matter what it is, either it's a Messiah, either it is a holiest book in the universe, as much as you can perceive it with your physical senses, it is things of physicality. And this is what Jesus said when he was with his disciples. They found an old man, a blind man. And when they found this blind man, this is what the disciples asked Jesus, Master, why was this guy born blind? Was it out of his parents' sins? Or did he sin? This is what Jesus replied to them. It is neither of them. It is neither of them. And they were surprised. They wanted to know, then what is it? What is it that made this man blind? Jesus spit on the ground. The earth is, when you are of the earthly, you are of the material, or you are of the form. Earth, you are of the form. He spit on the earth, and he mixed the spit with the earth. And do you know what he did? He picked that one up. And this is what he told his disciples. First, he told them the things of the physical, of form, of matter, these things, and then he collected it with the spit, is what you are seeing, and he placed it on the eyes of that blind guy. The things of the physical is what you are seeing, taking that, showing that these things of the earth mixed with this spit. And when he was placing on the blind man's eyes, he was telling them is what you are seeing. And then he told the blind man, go wash that from the earth from your eyes. And when he went to wash that, he started seeing. He started seeing. Well, you don't get stuck to your physical senses and perceptions. You are blind. And this is what Jesus meant. If we are stuck to anything outward, my God is this. I can only go with the God who is defined in my religious book. That is not infinite. Infinite, something infinite does not have a final definition, is still in the process of expanding. It has no final definition. Immediately you define God to the limits of our physical beliefs. The physical beliefs where we have locked God in our books, in our pastors, in our group leaders, in things we can perceive with our physical senses, we miss this God. And we're missing this God because This is what the physical mind does. It gives identity to everything. This is the amount of God, which is final to me. If the one you are defining to me is above what is defined in my book, no, that's not God. The physical mind, the Christ within, the love within, the pure essence within you is just in the state of awareness. It does not judge that this is the only God, which is the true God in my Bible. This is the only God, which is the true God in my Quran. This is not the final word of God, because God is infinite. He is expanding every day by day. That which is present and constant is that pure essence of God. We have never walked in love. We have never loved God. People, let us not pretend we have never loved God, because the Christ within, the pure essence of God, is in the state of awareness. Who hasn't judged here? Who hasn't told another person that your religion is not the true religion? Who hasn't told another one here that the God you are defining, that one is not, is me, I'm just following the God of my Bible or God of my Quran? Who hasn't done that? We have separated God. We have separated God immediately. Immediately, you cannot claim the divine in a Quran if you are a Christian. You cannot claim the divine in any other grander truth. And you deny any other truth which is not of your belief. You deny any other truth, any other person who is not of your religion. You deny any other person who is not of your race and color. When you deny even a negative situation, you have separated with God, because everything is God. If you are in that state of that pure essence, in the state of love, do you know why the Bible says that everything works out for the highest good for those who believe in God? It is because everything is God. That's why everything works out for the highest good. Because everything is God. People do not know this. He is of devil. He is of flesh. He is of that. He is of this. Everything is God. That's why everything works out for the highest good for those who believe in God. What is in you is the Christ, is the Spirit of God, is that pure essence of love. When you are just walking in the state of awareness, not identifying that to be that and this to be this, but knowing that I am all, one with the all. That is how we experience the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God cannot be attained, and it cannot come by observation. The kingdom of God can only be realized. And that's why you are told it is within you, because that which is within you is in the state of awareness, not this, not that. It is the all. It is the all. It does not separate itself, because immediately it separates itself. If God separates himself this moment, his purpose of being God stops to exist. Trust me on this. If God today divides himself into two, his purpose of being God does not exist, because God is wholeness. God is the all-in-one. God is that one in the all. And yet again, he is one in the all, everything. And yet again, the all are the one himself. So immediately you judge immediately you put a fence that this is not of me, of God. This is me and that is you. Let me believe this, you believe that. You have denied the divine. The kingdom can only be realized. The kingdom is not a place to go, which is coming in time. The kingdom of God is now and here, because what we call as the universe is what the kingdom of God is. Kingdom, don't be lied unto that we are going to the kingdom of God. It is something which is outside the universe. The universe is what God is. Nothing exists outside of himself. So there is no kingdom outside of God. There is no kingdom outside of this universe. This universe is what the kingdom is. When you walk in awareness, in that pure essence, which you are, that you don't need even someone to remind you. You just have to come to the remembrance of that and just be in awareness, not walking in judgment, just knowing, yes, this is darkness, but behind it is love. Don't care. Yes, this is light, behind it is love. This is a negative situation. Thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Christ. This is a negative situation. Just give me a revelation. What should I learn out of this? Then you get a revelation that you are passing through this negative situation because there's this and this and this and this and this for you to learn. And immediately you know the lessons to learn out of that situation. After that situation, you are another person. You sail through that situation in smooth because you saw this situation is negative. But what did you call? You claimed the divine in that. And it rose. You asked for the lessons to be learned here. And they were revealed. You learned. You are next level after that. The same situation next time it presents to you, it presents itself to your reality. You laugh it off because you are already surpassed that. This is what love is. It has nothing attached. True love is unconditional. It is not defined or attached to any condition. When you walk with that, you are going even to redeem those relatives who are negative. You won't see of what they are. You just acknowledge, yes, you are this negative energy. But I claim that which is behind this. I claim the divine that is behind this. I claim the Christ that is within this, within you. You claim the divine in that negative person. You claim the Christ. You claim the God. And immediately you have even claimed the Christ in them. You have claimed the divine in them. You have brought transformation to them. You have brought transformation and healing to them. And they change to be better persons. Because when you claim the Christ within any other negative person, any other devil, when you call the divine within that, what rises is the divine, and it overshadows, it becomes brighter, that you no longer see the darkness, and it brings the healing to that situation and the presence of God. You never pray for people, negative people, you're rebuking demons out of them. And who said we should rebuke demons? A demon is very simple. And as I was sharing with the Pastor Abba here from Nigeria last night, and Sheilah, we had a long talk from like 10, it was like 10 o'clock to 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, a group talk of 3 people. And I was telling them, these demons, you don't need even to rebuke them. And I told them this not out of because of something which has been written somewhere. I didn't read this somewhere. I have experienced it myself. And I was sharing them to them an experience that they of late I was reaching to a stage of that, like I was just pushing harder, and I was seeing myself like there was some kind of bubble, and I was actually disconnecting to the physical reality. But for me, I told myself, let me stop and think. Everything has got some steps, but if I'm pushing too hard and I'm feeling like I'm getting disconnected to the physical reality, then I don't know how to balance this. I think I need to slow down and then seek further guidance. Because I had even reached a stage where I could see glitches of the dimensions which exist within this our own reality. What we call demons and angels, they are not from heaven. Our angels, they are in this planet, of this planet, but higher dimensions. So I could get glitches of that, and I managed to get glitches of what people call demons. And when you project, like you project them and they are aware, let me tell you, this is how dumb we are, and this is why demons play with us. They play with us because we do not know who we are. They play with us because, you know what, demons, they claim. They claim you, and you get into that. They claim you. They say you're one with them. They claim you. People, the demons claim you. That's why they possess you. They claim. You can never possess anything which you don't claim. They claim you. Demons claim you, and they possess you. You can't possess anything without you claiming it. And so, when I got these experiences and I was projecting like, hey, you guys, I know you guys, I know who you are, and I know who I am. We are one. You are of darkness, I am of light, but we are one. Like, let me tell you, in each every one person, there are 10 demons around him right now, wherever they are. Either you are working with Jesus, you are taking the whole universe, you are working around you. There are 10 demons, each one of you, and they are there poking you and poking. Some of the emotions are not yours. They are poking and poking. If you could see these beings doing, they are poking with fingers. Like they touch you, some energy point, you react like this. They touch you, they're just around you. When I came to this experience and I was like projecting, like, I know you guys, I'm one with you. And I greet you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. And I welcome you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Trust me, they minded their own business. Like they are doing, literally, you could see shadows doing their own business, like they don't care, like you don't exist to them. Immediately, you know who you are. You have become one with the all. Same way Jesus said, I and the Father are one.